It's the paladin's turn to attack the zombie. He's killed hundreds of them before. He rolls a d20 dice and it's a 1. His sword flies from his hand, spinning through the air, and the hilt hits the cleric in the side of the head, doing 1d damage. What just happened? It was a critical failure. An epic failure by your hero, the Paladin Knight. How did he lose his sword? Well, truth be told, even the greatest superheroes sometimes have epic failures. Now I know I'm going to probably take some flack from this, from other players who think their characters are superheroes and they never defeated in combat, they would never drop their weapon and their weapon would never fail. But in reality, for all those DC and Marvel fans and fantasy fans, including myself, yes, sometimes the hero does have an epic failure. Sometimes Iron Man's suit power source does fail. Sometimes Superman has to deal with kryptonite and he kind of cowers into a corner like a little boy. Sometimes even Batman fails. The huge magical sword used in Lord of the Rings shattered when fighting Sauron. So yes, magic items do break. Heroes have epic failures. So how do you handle that in your game? Well, in our game, we use the Foundry's table system for epic failures on a critical one. So Huron here has failed. Let's see what happens. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring up our critical weapons table. I have 15 possible outcomes. You can make 20 or 100 of them. I'm going to show you how this table works. And this happens when you roll a 1 on your attack roll. So let's see what happens in our situation here. Huron, it's his turn. He rolls the 1 and fails. So we're going to see what the critical weapon failure does for him. While attempting to wield your weapon, you fail in an epic way. You pull a muscle in your upper body and you roll disadvantage until a short rest or you're healed. This is just one of the possible outcomes for the critical weapon failure. Now, this adds a unique element to the game. It makes sure that even when you're facing zombies, which you've probably killed hundreds of them in the past, yes, something can happen. I've included some things in here, including nested tables. I'm going to show you a couple of them right away. I did another video that goes into more in depth on how to create tables. I'll put a link down below, and that's for the random encounters tables, and I really go into the details on creating a table. In this one, I'm just going to show you the critical weapon failure and a couple of the outcomes here. One of the nice things about the Foundry tables is you can have not only nested tables, but you can have 2 outcomes for the same roll. So here I have the first 2 are dual outcomes for the same roll. So let's do one of those so you can just see what happens. I'm going to make the flying weapon roll table and the weapon flies from your hand always occur here on a 2 through 15 so we can see what happens. So on a 2 through 15, no matter what number is rolled, this will occur. It's going to roll from the flying weapons table, and it's going to have some flavored text here. Your weapon flies from your hand. So let's just see what happens here. I'm going to roll. And it is going to have, while attempting to wield your weapon, you fail in an epic way. Your weapon flies from your hand, lands 6 feet in front of you with the force, and is broken. So let's go through and look at some of the nested tables that I've built here. The flying weapons table, I have 2 tables here that are important for this. One is called the flying weapons table, which we just saw. Now, this is a nested table. What's nice about this table is you can use this table completely on its own if you want to, about your weapon flying out of your hand and see what happens. Or you can nest it into a parent roll table like I've done here in the critical weapon failure table. So let's just roll this to see what's happening here. I'm going to go ahead and clear out the chat screen and roll this. This is a 1d4. There's only 4 outcomes. One of them, though, is a nested table again, and 2 is a nested table. So this is a nested table with a nested table. I'm just going to bring up the other nested table before I roll so you can see that as well. This is just what I call an ally table. And this is a table that you should have in your game no matter what you're doing. It's just a random ally table. I have the name of each one of the allies, each of the party members in here. They're all assigned a number. And this is great if you want to use it for who gets to go first or whatever. You want to do a poll. You want to see who's going nobody wants to go in the room because they're all scared. You can just have this random ally table. So if we hit a 2 on the flying weapons, it's going to determine which ally is going to receive the damage. So we're going to go ahead and roll this. Let's just bring this up here so we can see it. There we go. And we're going to roll, and we get a 2. Well, so what's going to happen here is we roll a 2, and it's going to select randomly here. Why do we get a null effect? I see, because it has, here's a perfect example on an epic fail on the DM's part. And I've made this comment 100 times before, and I just changed something in here before I did the video, and that's why I'm getting this null effect. The reason I'm getting this null error over here is because when I rolled a 2, it's looking for a roll table called damage and ally, and I accidentally typed that in there. It should have just been ally. So the reason you want to make sure to, this is case sensitive and everything, what you can do is you can just copy from your ally table, hit Control C up, whoop, go up here and hit Control C, copy this, copy, go over here to your damage ally, paste, update this. Okay, and now you're not going to get this null effect. So let's delete this and give it another go. All right, flying weapon table, here we go, round 2. And we got a 2 again. Okay, so now the weapon is going to fly from my hand. It strikes an ally for 3 damage and lands at their feet. Which ally? Well, that was determined by the ally table here, and that was Kai Travari, which was our druid. So it's automatically rolling the 3 damage. How did I get it to roll the 3 damage? Well, I do that right in here where you double bracket the damage that you want in your flavored text. So you can see it says lands 1d20 feet away from the enemy. It will, in the flavored text, automatically roll the 1d20 and give you the results, or the 1d4 damage, or the 1d20 behind you. Let's roll this a few times and see what kind of outcomes we get. It's another one that damages an ally for 4 this time. This one, it lands 4 feet in front of you with force and your weapon is broken. Let's do another one. This one lands 14 feet away towards the enemy. So this is just a flying weapon. It does have a nested table, which is your ally table. Again, I recommend making the ally table. Let's go through a couple of other things on my parent epic failure table. I put a couple in here which are kind of fun. So this one is the flying weapons, and I also have one that's just flying and does damage to your ally, just a straight up damage 1d. Oh, strikes, misspelled, strikes. By the way, I'm a poor speller, which is embarrassing. I should have that fixed. Drop your weapon breaks and is unable to wield damage. You swing wildly, your opponents gain advantage on the next attack. You pull muscle in your upper body, you roll disadvantage. You pull muscle in your leg, your speed is reduced to 10. This is one of my favorite ones right here. You have a little accident and you soil yourself. Your opponent, of course, laughs at you, and your opponent will gain an extra attack next turn. Fatigue takes you, your weapon does half damage. Your blow strikes your opponent, but only does 1d4 damage. Sweat drips into your eye, you miss, and you're partially blinded. Your attack roll suffer -10 until you rectify the situation. This is a horrible one at the bottom here. Your weapon pulses in your hand. Any magic it has disappears, turning it into a regular weapon. Let's roll a couple of these and see what happens. All right, this is kind of fun. Land 7 feet in front of you with a force of broken, so your weapon flies away out of your hand. That's not a good one. Now your weapon's broken. Not only did it fly out of your hand, but it broke. You pull muscle in your upper body, and you roll disadvantage until your short rest. A wild swing, and your opponent gains attack. Oh, you know what? I got this 215 on, so this is always going to happen. Let me fix this really quick, so that doesn't always go in there. This is something interesting. I'll just point it out. You can have, if you want to weight something to happen more often, or you want to give a range or have multiple things happen at the same time, just change the range. So anything between like a 3 and an 8, this is going to happen. So it doesn't always have to be one thing. It could be multiple things. So let's roll a couple more times. See what happens to poor Herhan. You lose your nerve. You retreat 30 feet and do not engage for the rest of the encounter. You pull a muscle in your leg. Your speed is reduced till 10 until a short rest or healed. Let's do it one more. Your blow strikes your opponent but does only 1 damage. So you can see, you can come up with a lot of things in here. You want to be vicious in here and do some serious damage, or you just want to make it fun and silly. That's really up to you and your players. In our game, yeah, there is sometimes a risk where you're going to injure yourself or injure others, or your weapon's going to break because you've rolled a critical. You're going to have those critical 20s where you're going to do this huge amount of damage. We had our cleric literally blow up a vampire with a guiding bolt on a critical. So the same cleric cast a spell and rolled a critical failure, and on the critical failure table, his hands caught on fire. So yes, sometimes things aren't going to go your way. I hope you like this video. I'm going to go ahead and post all my critical weapon failures in the description below. Feel free to use them. What I'd really like to hear from you in the comments below is, what are some of the critical weapon failures of your ideas, and maybe I'll incorporate those into my game. I hope you like this video. Please click like, please subscribe to my channel for more updated Dungeon Master tips, and may all your rolls be critical 20s, that is. Until later, this is Parm King signing off, and enjoy the rest of your day.